Dreaming about death is unsettling. You might have had a dream where you wake up right before you die. These type of dreams are actually really common, like dying and falling the stairs, and I bet everyone experienced it once in their life. But have you ever thought, if you die in a dream, can you really die in real life? When looking at the real-life inspiration behind a horror movie, it's hard to believe that some ideas can actually spawn from a real-life occurrence. This is especially true when you look at the movie A Nightmare on the Elm Street. Wes Craven's 1984 film A Nightmare on the Elm Street is a notorious slasher film that's been the basis for a multitude of sequels, reboots, and tie-in media. In the 1984 slasher movie, several teens fall victim to the burned man with knives on his fingers known as Freddy Krueger, who preys on their innocent dreams and turns them into deadly nightmares, which in turn kills them in reality. The idea of a sadistic murderer haunting the dreams of several teens and chasing them in their twisted nightmares led to one of the most successful horror film franchises of all time. The classic has been known to give fans nightmares of their own. But what's even spookier is that the story of this movie is actually linked to real life. Wes Craven reveals that he was inspired after reading an article in the LA Times about a family who had moved to the United States from Cambodia. The article detailed the unfortunate history of a family of immigrants who survived through the horrors of a war. The group had managed to escape from the killing fields of Cambodia, but as a result, their young son suffered post-traumatic stress disorder, which became the cause of horrible nightmares. The dreams were so bad and horrible that their young son ended up no longer sleeping at all, and he decided to stay awake for as long as he can in an attempt to escape having the same recurring nightmare. But eventually the stress became too much that his mind couldn't stay awake any longer, forcing him to eventually fall asleep. Things were fine, and then suddenly the young son was having very disturbing nightmares. He told his parents he was afraid that if he slept, the thing chasing him would get him. So he tried to stay awake for days at a time. When he finally fell asleep, his parents thought this crisis was over. Then they suddenly heard screams in the middle of the night. By the time they got to him, he was dead. He died in the middle of a nightmare. He was a youngster having a vision of a horror that everyone older was denying. That became the central line of Nightmare on the Elm Street. There were also other reported cases of men in similar situations who took refuge in the US to escape the killings going on around them and later died in their sleep. The phenomenon later became known as the Asian Death Syndrome, which confused even the most highly qualified doctors and scientists. But this is not the only thing. The infamous character of Freddy Krueger had also been more directly inspired by other events as well. Craven stated in the documentary Never Sleep Again: The Elm Street Legacy that one night when he was looking out his window as a young child, he saw an old man. The old man spotted him, which scared young Wes Craven, and he jumped back to hide. After some time passed, Wes crept back to the window. He looked down and saw the man was still there, waiting in the shadows. The man smiled malevolently and motioned to scare the boy. The man was scary enough to drive the image of Freddy Krueger into Wes Craven's mind, which later became the most famous villain of all time. As for the name, Fred Krueger was the name of a childhood bully that Craven encountered in his teens. The combination of all the things built a nightmare on the Elm Street and introduced its iconic villain. The result is a film exploring the transition from childhood to adulthood and the effects of pain and truth. And as strange and fantastic as its horror may be, it all stems from reality. What do you guys think about the movie? Do you guys have any other creepy stories that gives you the chills and makes it harder for you to sleep at night? Tell me in the comments or DM me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and I will share that story in my next video. Till then, have a great day.